everyone, this is Rani. She's gorgeous and she's a bit camera shy at the moment. I think, bye Rani. Probably saw the tail going past. I'll just let her out. I'll be there in a sec.
Alright everyone, put on your opera glasses because it's time to present Maestro Mickey Mouse and the Philharmaddy Orchestra.
So I only have less than a week until my program starts. I can't believe it. I am so excited. And if you're interested in following along with my cultural exchange program, which is just about to start, hit that subscribe button down below because I have a lot of content coming your way very soon. What was that? That was a bag. Why did the bag fall? But to start my program, I first have to fly 28 hours. Yes. 28 hours. Now that's including layovers. I have 3 flights, 2 layovers. It's gonna be a fun time, but hey, it's gonna be worth it. I only have to do it twice and they're 5 months apart rather than like 2 or 3 weeks, so I'll take it. But I thought it would be a good time to discuss it because I know there's quite a lot of other fellow Australians and New Zealanders who are just about to be starting to travel for their program, but also if you're going to be doing the cultural exchange program and going to Florida from anywhere in the world, you are going to have to travel considerably. It may not be as much as if you're, say, from Australia and New Zealand, but to be honest, I think that these tips and tricks can apply to any overseas and international travel, and even some of them can apply to domestic as well. So I can say that I am a reasonably frequent flyer in that I have done quite a fair bit of international travel, and as an Australian, if you're doing international travel, it is by default long flights. You will usually have at least one connection somewhere, either domestic or internationally, and I've had the privilege of going to Europe quite a few times. I've only done America 3 times before now, but Europe I've travelled a lot to because I have family in England. And actually, I just got back recently from a trip to Europe, so if you're interested in seeing travel pics that are non-Disney related, I do also have another Instagram account named Terminated Weasel, and there'll be a link to that in the description below. So let's get into it with my first point, which is to do your research. The most important thing is booking flights, because I think this is when things can either go very right or go very wrong. And it's all to do with those connections. So first things first, you research who you're flying with. Now personally for me, I went through a travel agent because they usually find better deals on prices than I can, and I don't want to spend the time looking for them because that's their job. And so it makes my life easier, and usually I get a better deal out of it. So with the travel agent, we figured out that there are 2 sort of ways to go from Adelaide, and that is via Virgin and Delta or Qantas and American Airlines, because unfortunately there are no direct flights from where I live. So I'm gonna have to do a domestic flight, international, then another domestic flight. And I could either fly into LA or Dallas. Unfortunately, the only flights that worked that went through Dallas, which would have been considerably cheaper and probably easier on one respect because it's not LAX, was that the connecting time was around 1 to 2 hours. And from experience, when it comes to switching from international to domestic, you need a lot of time, and that's where doing your research comes into play. Because most of the time, if you go into an airline's website and just click in that I want to go from this destination to that destination, they will give you the shortest possible flight time and the shortest possible connection that they can give you. In some cases, this might be fine. So for example, a 2-hour 15 layover in Dubai when you're flying Emirates is usually fine. Get a 2-hour and 15-minute layover in LAX and you are probably going to miss your flight. I have unfortunately been in the position where I've had a tight connection, and our first flight was slightly delayed and we had to rush through security. We got to the gate just in time, but the luggage didn't. And that's often what happens. Even if you might be able to make the flight, your luggage may not. And especially if you aren't booking your flight all on one ticket, I would highly recommend allowing even more extra time in your connecting flight, because you will have to pick up your bags and then re-check in for your next flight. My next point is about the thing that everyone dreads when it comes to international travel, and that is jet lag. And it's a hard thing to deal with because time zones are weird and hard to get your head around, and it's hard to adjust your sleep pattern as such. So no matter what happens, you are going to be tired at some point, but you want to make sure that you're tired at the right time and not wasting time when you get to your destination and are feeling too tired to do anything. So for me, the most important thing is to sleep on that first night at your destination. Personally, I would recommend getting a flight that either gets in mid to late afternoon or early evening, because then what you can do is, once you've grabbed your bag, maybe even go out for a walk. Fresh air and sunlight is always really helpful to help you stay awake. Go grab some dinner and then crash for the night. But the trick is you have to then make sure you have not slept on that daytime period, and often if you're doing large distances, that is around the time when you will want to sleep. And so you need to have strategies in terms of sleeping and not sleeping. I think the biggest thing is figure out what time you want to sleep on the flight. So for me, I'm going to be wanting to sleep around the first half to the middle of the LA flight. However, that's around like mid-afternoon my time. And so as a result, I'm going to be trying to get slightly less sleep the night before so that I can then at least try and force myself to sleep on that first leg, and then do my utmost best to not sleep at all, especially on the LA to Florida and during the layover before it. So some strategies for actually getting to sleep on a plane, because it is not the easiest thing to do. First of all, the best thing to do is if you can get a window seat, because especially if you tend to be a side sleeper, you can then lay some pillows up against the window and just rest your head on that and curl up, and you're less likely to be disturbed because no one else is going to bother you with having to try and get up. As for staying awake, my main advice is aisle seat, because you are always going to have more options for getting up, and you're going to have to get up for other people, and you're going to have people walking past also waking you up. So that definitely helps. And then just doing things to help you stay awake, stay mobile, and keep your mind stimulated. And so if you've managed that, hopefully when you get to your final destination, you can crash in the evening and sleep your way through the night, because once you do that, you are still going to be tired the next day, because it takes a while for your body to adjust, but you are not going to be completely sleep deprived the next day because you didn't sleep at all on the night before. The next thing I wanted to bring up is food and drink. The most important thing when you're on the flight is to stay hydrated. Personally, I bring moisturizers, hand creams, but most importantly, an empty water bottle, because you cannot take large bottles of liquid through security, but you can take empty ones. So make sure you take an empty one and then fill it up when you get on the other side of security, because the trolleys with the drinks and everything don't come around that often, and when they do, you get like a tiny little glass or like an eensy tiny little bottle, and it is never enough because you are dehydrated. So make sure you have a large bottle. It won't last you the entire flight, but at least get you through some of it. In addition to that, plane food is not always the nicest. Altitude does weird things to your taste buds, and so it sometimes makes it hard to eat food. Personally, if you're like me and you know that you don't like plane food, prepare accordingly. So if you've got shorter flights, oftentimes, as long as you've allowed extra time in your layovers, back to my original point, you can just not eat on the plane and then eat at the layover, and then when you get to the final destination, if it is a much longer flight, then just bring snacks. You can bring packaged snacks onto the plane with no problem. Just keep in mind what's allowed at the other end when you get to customs. And along with that, in terms of being on the flight, I think also the other important thing for your own health is to stay mobile. And even if you are in the window seat and don't want to annoy or inconvenience the other people sitting alongside you, please get up at some point, at least once or twice. Preferably more times than that, because your legs, back and neck will thank you for it, and there are actually some significant health implications by not moving around for significantly long periods of time. And finally, I wanted to talk about entertainment, because this is the biggest thing when it comes to trying to stay awake on the plane, is keeping your mind occupied. These days, on most flights, you will find that there is plenty of in-flight entertainment. Every single seat has a screen on the back of it. You will find movies, TV shows, music. And if there's a particular show that you want to watch that isn't on there but maybe is on Netflix, you can actually pre-download it so you can watch it offline. However, if you are easily distracted like me, make sure you bring different types of media, because especially passive things like watching TV shows, listening to music, and watching movies gets really old. You might think, oh, 16-hour flight, that's like 6 to 8 long movies. I don't know, maths. Ugh. But you know, you think, oh, it's only a few movies, I can get through that. By the third movie, I usually tire out and need to do something else, and then find, oh, it's just TV shows. And then I watch a few episodes and I need something else to do. So make sure you bring other things to do, whether it's a book. I'm personally gonna have my laptop with me, so I'll be able to play games, I'll be able to work on my video editing, my photo editing, and you know, maybe do some transcriptions of video game music or listen to music with the scores. And you can tell I'm a music nerd, can't you? And if you can, also bring something that's not just electronic and passive if possible. So things like if you're working on a bullet journal, bring your supplies onto the plane and work on that. Or if you're planning out your diary, or even better, adult colouring books are so good for flights. If you can get some small pocket ones, or even get some crosswords or Sudoku. Sudoku. Ugh, words today, not working for me. But you know, just make sure you have a variety of entertainment that you can switch between to help keep your mind active and stop it from getting bored. So that concludes my tips and tricks for long haul flights. If you think I missed out anything from this video, please let me know in the comments down below and help out your fellow viewers. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And of course, if you want to see more content from me, I've only got a few more days to go until my programs. So definitely hit that subscribe button down below to see more videos from me in the future. But until then, TTFN.